Hello everyone, this is Nicholas. Welcome to another episode of Next Money Talks. I just sold one of my houses in Los Angeles and I made over $200,000 out of the sale. Right after I sold my house, Zillow, an American online real estate marketplace company, listed another house in the same community, the same size as mine, and the same configuration as well, for $50,000 more than the one I just sold. Made me feel extremely stupid. So the biggest question is, are we in a housing bubble? If so, when is it gonna burst? So here are my personal opinions. For those who are first time here, my name is Nicholas Chung. I'm an architect, a real estate agent, a small landlord, and a tiny YouTuber. If you don't mind smashing the thumbs up button for me to help me grow my channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Without further ado, let's get started. Let me start by giving you some basic information of the house that I just sold. It is a 3-story townhouse in a 120-unit gated community in the city of Hawthorne, in the Los Angeles County in California. The house is in walking and biking distance to the headquarters of SpaceX and Tesla Design Center. So the rental market is extremely hot over there. The townhouse is about 1,400 square feet, not including the area of the balcony and the parking garage. It has 3 bedrooms and 2.5 baths. The entrance and the parking garage are located on the ground level. On the first level, we have the living room, the dining room, the kitchen, and the powder room. And on the upper level, we have the master bedroom with the master bathroom, as well as 2 smaller bedrooms which share a full bath. I bought the house about 7.5 years ago in 2013 for $295,000. Back then, I thought it was a rip-off because 1 month before that house was listed, there was another house in the exact same community with the exact same size and the exact same configuration, sold for $15,000 less. And if I trace the timeline back for 6 months, there was another house in the exact same community with the exact same size and exact same configuration, sold for $50,000 less. I strongly believed that the previous homeowner was asking too much, so I put in an appraisal contingency stating that I would offer the asking price of $295,000, but the seller had to match the appraisal if it came in lower. The previous homeowner accepted my offer. So the appraisal did come in lower as $280,000. But that seller was a complete total asshole. She was not willing to reduce the sales price by a penny, despite what had been already agreed upon in the contract. So that left me with only 2 options: either taking her to court and force her to sell it at $280,000 as agreed in the contract, or just pay the extra $15,000 and move on. However, going through the legal process for merely $15,000 is a lot of trouble, even though $15,000 was a lot to me at that time. So I decided to just meet the seller's asking price at $295,000, feeling extremely stupid that I bought the house at the peak of the market. Remember, that was 2013. With the benefit of hindsight, you'll find that funny. But no one found that amused other than the seller herself. I almost had to sell my kidney on the black market in order to buy this house. So immediately after I moved in, I rented out the 2 smaller bedrooms in order to help my mortgage payment and became a first-time landlord. As I mentioned earlier, the rental market in this area is extremely hot because it is so close to the headquarters of SpaceX and Tesla Design Center. So I was able to secure 2 really good tenants within the first month after I moved in. And we shared the house like friends happily thereafter. Until the pandemic hit Los Angeles really hard in 2020. With the high transmission rate of this virus, it's no longer wise to share a house with others, especially with those who are not your immediate family, from a personal health perspective. So I gave them a 1 month notice and let them go. So after they moved out, I had the whole house all to myself. Then why did I decide to sell it? You may ask. Well, after the pandemic hit, I've been working from home ever since. That basically decouples myself physically from the office, which is located in Los Angeles. Made me wonder, do I really want to continue to stay in Los Angeles? One of the most expensive cities in the United States, which has been inundated by the homeless population exported from all other states. I gave myself a couple months of time to think clearly and explore the possibility of working remotely outside California. And in January 2021, I decided to put my first house on the market for sale with the asking price of $545,000, which is $250,000 above my original purchase price. Within the first 2 weeks after the house was listed, dozens and dozens of people showed up. It's like non-stop. I received multiple offers, and almost all of them were above the asking price. The first offer was $553,000, $8,000 above my asking price. The buyers were a young couple. We went into escrow in early February. However, it fell through in early March because the buyers found that the HOA was too difficult to deal with. HOA stands for Homeowners Association. If you don't know what HOA is, it is a whole bunch of donkeys who disguise as human with the sole purpose of making your life more difficult. Anyways, thanks to them, I had to list my house for the second time. Within 1 week after I relisted the house, I got another offer from another young couple. This time, it was $550,000, $5,000 above my asking price. I accepted the offer, and we went into escrow in the same week. After the general inspection, the buyers found that the AC unit is kind of old and may need replacements pretty soon. And because I decided to sell the house as is, so I gave them $10,000 to help them on the closing cost. We closed the deal last month in mid-April 2021 with the agreed upon final sales price of $550,000, which is $250,000 above my original purchase price. After deducting the $10,000 that I gave to the buyers and the associated closing cost, I still made a profit of more than $200,000. That was the biggest payday of my entire life so far. I was dancing non-stop with 2 left feet. While I was feeling extremely good about myself, Zillow listed a house in the exact same community with the exact same size and the exact same configuration as mine in the same week that I sold my house for $50,000 more. The music suddenly stopped and I felt like the biggest idiot in the whole world. That leads me to question, are we in a housing bubble? If so, when is it gonna burst and what is going to trigger it? So here are my personal opinions. The short answer is no one freaking knows. Just like 7 years ago when I bought the house, everyone thought that it was a peak as well and correction was imminent. But look at where we are today. the house is selling for almost double the price compared to 7 years ago. So who has the titanium balls to say that this house will not double its price in another 7 years? No one. Not the government, not the Fed, not the media, not the so-called gurus. Even those who pretend to have the balls to say it now, they will be nowhere to be found 7 years later, when the reality proves them wrong. One thing for sure is, inflation is coming our way. There's no way to avoid it. It is not a bullet that we can dodge, because it is a hand grenade that the US government is stucking into your mouth with your hands tied at your back. You probably want to say, whoa, that's a really strong accusation. Slow down, man. So please allow me to elaborate a little bit. First of all, more than 25% of our money supply was printed in the year 2020 on toilet paper, resulted in a toilet paper shortage last year. Remember? My point is, it cost the US government nothing, nada, to print money. And what are they doing with all this money? They are giving to the nice folks that are very likely gonna vote for them. Some people suddenly realized you can actually make more money being unemployed than being employed. Considering that watching Netflix on your big TV screen is more enjoyable than staring at the monitors in your office, any person with basic common sense will choose to enjoy the leisure at home sponsored by the US government than choosing to go back to work. The problem is, these people who are sitting comfortably on their couch, they are not producing any goods or services to the society. On one hand, we have 25% more money. On the other hand, we have less goods and services produced. With more money chasing less goods and services, based on Economics 101, demand and supply, of course prices are going to go up. And when the price of everything goes up, that's the definition of inflation. Some may argue that when inflation's here, then the federal government has no choice but to raise interest rate. With higher interest rates, housing affordability will increase. As a result, it will drive down the housing price. It is true, but historically, it's usually just short-term. Remember, inflation caused the price of everything to go up, including your salaries. With Joe Biden's $1 trillion infrastructure stimulus plan approved, the market is going to have a bidding war on construction workers and building materials such as lumbers, concrete, and steels, making it even more expensive to build a house. With less new houses being built, existing homeowners are even more likely to keep their own house than putting it on the market, adding more oil to the fire to the already historically low housing supply. So if you want me to put money on the table, my take is, when the inflation hand grenade, nicely decorated by the US government, exploded in our mouth, there might be a correction to the housing market in the short term, primarily driven by human psychology and emotions. But in the long term, when we factor in all the fundamentals in the reality, the housing price has no choice but to continue to go up, at least to break even with inflation. So if you are in the market looking to buy a house, don't hold off. You are not gonna see a correction of 50% like in the year 2008. Even if there's a correction like 10% coming, unless you are paying the house with all cash, otherwise your monthly payment is not going to go down. The only difference is you'll be paying more on the interest instead of building equity for the same house that you are going to buy. So why not take advantage of the low interest rate right now to buy a house if only if you can win the bidding war? Anyways, I still have one more house in Los Angeles with really good tenants. I have no intention to sell it at all. So there you have it. These are just my personal opinions as an existing homeowner and as a small landlord. So if it's your first time here, please consider subscribing to my channel. And if you're getting any value from this video, I would greatly appreciate if you can give me a big thumbs up below. Thank you very much for watching. Please stay healthy, be safe. I'll see you in my next video. Bye for now.